I want you to picture two apartments. Same city, same street, almost identical rent. But the people living inside them have completely different financial lives. In the first apartment, you'll see a large wall-mounted TV, a designer couch, closets packed with clothes that still have tags on them, drawers filled with things that haven't been used in months. At first glance, it looks comfortable, even impressive. But behind the scenes, this person checks their bank account with tension. They're earning around $88,000 a year and still feel like one bad month could throw everything off. Now step into the second apartment. It's quieter, simpler. There's space. Only what's needed is there. A smaller TV, a practical couch, a wardrobe that actually gets worn. Nothing extra. This person earns about $48,000 a year. And yet, they have over a year's worth of expenses saved. They invest consistently, and they sleep well at night. Same neighborhood. One person earns almost double, but the other has real financial control. This isn't about income. It's about something most people never stop to question: the relationship between what you own and how much money you keep. Because the truth is, most people don't lose money through obvious mistakes. They don't gamble it away. They don't make reckless decisions. They simply build a lifestyle that quietly consumes everything they earn. The second person figured something out. Something simple, but powerful. Owning less doesn't mean living worse. It means living intentionally. And when you live intentionally, you create space for money to grow. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the minimalist money rules that separate people who always have money from those who never seem to get ahead, no matter how much they earn. These aren't about cutting everything out. They're about understanding something most people ignore. Every single thing you own has a cost you probably haven't calculated. Let's start with a simple idea that can change how you think about every purchase you make. Everything you own costs you twice. The first cost is obvious. It's the price you pay up front. But the second cost is where most people lose money without realizing it. The second cost includes space, maintenance, mental energy, and missed financial opportunities. Let me give you an example. Imagine you buy a piece of fitness equipment for your home. It takes up about 15 to 20 square feet. Now, in many cities, space costs roughly $25 to $45 per square foot each year. That means you could be paying $400 to $800 every year just to store something you barely use. Now think bigger. Let's say someone buys something for recreation, maybe around $25,000. Maintenance, insurance, storage can easily cost $2,000 to $3,000 every year, even if it sits unused. And then there's the part most people never consider: mental clutter. Every item you own takes up a small piece of your attention. You think about it, you organize it, you maintain it, and over time that adds up. Studies have shown that cluttered environments increase stress and reduce focus. So it's not just your wallet being affected, it's your mind. And then there's opportunity cost. If you spend $10,000 on something you rarely use, that's not just $10,000 gone. That could have been $30,000 or more over time if it had been invested instead. So you didn't just buy an item, you traded future freedom for it. When you start looking at purchases this way, something changes. You don't feel restricted, you feel more in control. And this leads to the first rule. Always calculate cost per use before you buy anything. Before you buy something, ask yourself, how often will I realistically use this? Not ideally. Not emotionally. Realistically. Then divide the price by that number. Let's say you buy a jacket for $250 and only wear it twice. That's $125 per use. Now compare that to a $350 jacket that you wear over 150 times. That's just over $2 per use. Suddenly, the more expensive option becomes the smarter one. Now think about that kitchen tool you'll only use once in a while. That could cost you over $100 per use. But something simple that you use every week costs almost nothing over time. This one habit alone can stop most unnecessary spending because it removes emotion and replaces it with clarity. And once you understand that, you start looking at everything you already own differently. Which brings us to the next rule. Rule 2. Apply the replacement test to everything you own. Walk through your space slowly. Look at the things around you and ask one simple question. If this disappeared today, would I actually spend money to replace it? Be honest. Not sentimental, not hopeful, just honest. Would you buy that kitchen gadget again? Would you replace that item you haven't used in over a year? Would you go out and spend money on those clothes sitting untouched in your closet? For most things, the answer is no. And that's important, because it means those items are not adding value. They're just taking up space. Space in your home and space in your mind. Every item you keep that you don't truly want creates small, invisible friction. It makes your environment heavier, more complicated, more distracting, and over time, that weight adds up. When you start removing those items, something shifts. Your space feels lighter. Decisions feel easier. You know exactly where things are. Cleaning takes less time. You begin to feel more in control. And that's the goal. Not less for the sake of less, but less that makes room for what actually matters. Rule 3. Never upgrade out of boredom. This is one of the most expensive habits people don't even realize they have. Your phone works perfectly, but a newer version comes out. Your furniture still serves its purpose, but you're tired of looking at it. Your car runs just fine, but something newer feels more exciting. So you upgrade. It feels like progress, but it's not. It's money leaving your life quietly. Because most upgrades are not solving real problems, they're solving boredom. And boredom is temporary. But the cost of that upgrade? That stays. Minimalists follow a simple rule. If it still works, it stays. Not because they can't afford better, but because they understand replacement without need is just disguised spending. Over time, this one habit alone can save tens of thousands. Not by doing something extreme, but by simply avoiding unnecessary resets. Rule 4. Make saving easy and spending harder. This one changes behavior immediately. Because most people don't have a money problem, they have an environment problem. If spending is easy, you will spend. If saving requires effort, you will avoid it. So instead of relying on discipline, you change the system. Remove your card details from shopping apps. Delete apps that tempt you to browse. Wait 24 hours before buying anything that isn't essential. At the same time, automate your savings. Let money move out of your account before you see it. Treat saving like a fixed bill, not an optional decision. Because when saving is automatic and spending requires effort, the results start to shift without constant willpower. Rule 5. Know how much you own. Most people don't. They guess, and they're usually wrong. Pick one category: clothes, shoes, kitchen items. Count them. Not roughly, actually count them. The number alone will change your behavior, because once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. Buying one more item no longer feels small, it feels like adding to something already excessive. And that awareness is what stops accumulation before it starts. Rule 6. Try it before you own it. Most things we buy, we use intensely at first, and then, almost never again. The excitement fades, the routine changes, and the item becomes another thing you own. Instead, test it first. Rent it, borrow it, use it temporarily. Because this does two things. First, it shows you if the interest is real or temporary. Second, it helps you understand what you actually need before you spend money. This simple step prevents years of unused purchases. Rule 7. Understand the ripple effect of what you buy. Because most purchases don't come alone, they bring other costs with them. Buy one thing, and it quietly requires more. Something to store it, something to maintain it, something to support it. So what looks like one purchase is actually a chain of expenses. Minimalists don't just look at the item, they look at everything that comes with it. And many times, that full picture changes the decision completely. Rule 8. Define what enough means before your income grows. Because if you don't, your lifestyle will always expand. You earn more, you spend more. What used to feel like a luxury becomes normal, and suddenly, no amount feels like enough. So instead, you decide in advance. What kind of home is enough? What kind of lifestyle actually satisfies you? What level of spending feels comfortable, not excessive? When you define that clearly, you stop chasing upgrades and start building stability. Rule 9. Measure wealth by freedom, not possessions. Because real wealth is not what you own. It's what you can choose. Can you leave a situation that's no longer working? Can you take time when life demands it? Can you make decisions without financial pressure? That's what matters. And that kind of freedom comes from margin, the gap between what you earn and what you spend, not from accumulation. Rule 10: keep your space in check, consistently. Most people try to reset everything at once. They clear everything out, feel good for a while, and slowly fall back into old patterns. Instead, make it ongoing. Small reviews, regular adjustments. Remove what no longer serves you before it builds up again, because it's easier to stay clear than to start over. Here's what most people don't realize. Spending and saving create cycles. When you spend everything, you feel pressure. That pressure leads to more spending as temporary relief, and the cycle continues. But when you create space, something different happens. You save more. That creates security, and that security reduces the need to spend. That's the shift. Not extreme restriction, not sacrifice, just clarity. Because at the end of the day, it's not about having more things. It's about having more control, more peace, more freedom. And that comes from a simple choice. Do you want to own your money, or let your lifestyle own you? Because both paths are available. But only one leads to real financial security.